now, when you hear the bang, we're now recording in Screencastify. And there's some features that you can use down here in the bottom left-hand corner that help you to be able to draw students' attention to things with all of these functional buttons down here. So what I would do was, no, I gotta get rid of that. What I would do is at the beginning of my lessons, I would just have the kids do a picture walk, and a little bit slower than this, but I would have the kids do a picture walk. We'd go through, we get their brain ready to think about the story. We make note and have a conversation about what they were seeing. And this is all talking to a pretend audience because it's not really live. So I would go ahead and just orient them to the story, let them know, like, this is a traditional tale. We talked a little bit about the genre of traditional tales and some of those kinds of things. And then I was ready to get into some of my teaching, some things that I thought they might need a little bit of help with or whatever. Like, for instance, on this page, I had first grade readers, and I tried to keep these recorded lessons at a level at which they were more probably able to handle with just a little bit of help. But for instance, on this page here, on page 4, is the word knocked. And it doesn't show anyone in the picture knocking. And if kids aren't familiar with how that blend works at the beginning of a word, so I would go down here to my tools. And one of the tools that I like is this spotlight tool. It darkens the background, and if they were fairly independent and I wanted them to look for something on their own, I would get it ready and say, can you find the word knocked on page 4? It looks a little bit funny at the beginning. Think about that word. What could the word be? And then I would start working my highlighter towards, yeah, there you go. You found the word knocked. And it would kind of highlight that area in the text, gave them an opportunity to do some of the looking and searching first. I always just presumed, not really, but presumed that the kids had found it on their own. Reinforced them for knowing that tricky beginning on the word knocked, that K doesn't say anything. And then to get rid of that functional piece, you actually have to go back and toggle it again. Which is okay. What I don't necessarily like about these is that they go away for quick access. So when you're ready to do something else, like I want to I call target that word. It's this button down here, the circle with the pointer, and it's going to highlight my clicks with a circle. There you go, that word knocked, and look at that funny beginning, knocked. I'm really drawing their eyes heavy to it. When I let go of my cursor, the highlighting stays there, but it's not targeting that area anymore. And then when I go back, I might discontinue that and then just bring up this. And so then we looked at that whole word together, knocked. So those are some of the functional pieces down here at the bottom. They get a bit tricky. I wish when they were active, they got a little bit darker. I just clicked on this again and it didn't come dark. You've really got to kind of pay attention to that active piece. It's not like a real, so sometimes in the middle of my recording, it's like, oh, I don't want that. But I just muddled through it anyway. Some of your other pieces down here is that you can pause your recording. So like, for instance, when my phone rang or something like that, and I wanted to pause and I liked what had happened so far in the recording, I could just pause it, take care of whatever I needed to take care of, and then I could come back and continue. This is just the mouse pointer. And then some of the drawing tools down here are kind of nice too. When you click on the pen, the default is red. So if I want to really not and really highlight that word, I can use a drawing tool there and draw attention to it again in a different way. There's the erase button. The nice part is that this does show how big your erase circumference is. So anything inside there is going to be erased. I did like that. But if you go back to the drawing tool, and I'm going to draw that again, and then I'm going to go back to my cursor, and you're going to notice something. That drawing piece stays there. So before you can go on in your text, you have to go back to get rid of that so that it's now not distracting. You have to go back and you do have to deal with it and erase it before you go on with the next parts in your text or something. Another one of the embedded tools over here is this webcam, and you can see that I'm showing here. And for me, I liked to, most of the time I kept the webcam there so the kids could see me and hear me, and it was a more authentic conversation. It wasn't just this voice talking about the book, but there were some books that presented in a way that this webcam was in the way. And so you can get rid of that embedded webcam by just clicking on that. And then if you wanted to, you got done with some of the things and you wanted your webcam to come back, you can toggle it again, come back. You can actually click on it and move your webcam around if you find that there's a better place that you can position it. And I would generally, if I could, I'm just a person by habit, I would put it up at the top closer to where my camera was. So it didn't look like I was talking to the text. I was actually talking to the child, and my eyes were more up high. It was just a presentation thing on my part. So when I would get done with the whole thing, the one thing that the Screencastify for books did not do, it doesn't allow the students, and I'm going to hide that webcam, it doesn't allow the students to cursor through and move through the pages freely. So with my little guys, I would tell them, now you can use the pause button on, because they would be playing it, use the pause button and read your pages. And I taught them in the early lessons how to do this. And then I would scroll through again and I would tell them, now pause and read. And then I would go through again and now pause and read. And then how you didn't have to give a big time span there because they should be doing the pausing and the reading. So I would just go through, remind them to pause and read, and then go on and pause and read and go on. Older kids probably would not need that prompt, except maybe at the beginning. You control it as you need to, pause it, read it, and then when you're ready to go to the next pages, just hit play again, and they probably can maneuver themselves through the text. When you get done, and it shows down here that Screencastify is recording your screen. When you're done with this, it's like, okay, what do I do with it? So I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute.